You are listening to the Becoming the Wealthy You podcast with Jermaine Foley. If you're a woman who makes good money in your career or business, but you're not building wealth like you want to, then you're in the right place. In this podcast, you'll learn how to stop overspending, break free from the cycle of debt, save lots of cash, and become the wealthy woman you were born to be. Let's dive in. Well, hello, everyone. Today, I want to talk about a skill that most of us were never taught. The skill of having money. Not just making money and spending money, but actually having it. Letting it stay in your world, letting it accumulate, really having it. Because for a lot of women, money comes in, and before it can turn into anything significant like savings, peace of mind, debt freedom, investments, it goes in so many other places. And this is why you can make good money and still feel like your financial life is out of control, no matter how hard you end up working. So this episode is really about the skill of having money. This is a concept that not a lot of financial experts talk about, right? And so to be clear, I may mention things like saving and getting out of debt and overspending, but that is not what this episode is about. This episode is about something much deeper. It's about the skill that if you can get this one right, it will change everything for you. It will make all the other things I just mentioned so much easier. And that is, again, the skill of having money, the capacity to keep money in your life instead of constantly sending it away. So this episode is for you if you're a woman who makes good money, but no matter how hard you try, you're always wondering, like, where in the world is all my money going, right? And more specifically, it could look like getting a bonus and having a plan for that bonus. Maybe you put it into savings. And for a minute, it feels really good, right? You've got that money in savings and you feel a little secure, like, okay, I'm finally getting somewhere. I can finally get ahead. But before the money really even has a chance to settle into the account, your brain starts building a case for why all that money needs to leave, right? It'll sound like, you know what? Your lawn is the worst in the neighborhood. You really need to spruce it up. You need some new furniture. Those throw pillows, they need to go, right? And so your brain will come up with all of these reasons why that money that's sitting in your account should start to dissipate and go away. And before you know it, that money that was starting to feel like security will turn into another purchase, another project, and into another upgrade. And listen, I want to be clear. It's okay to spend money, right? Your house will need things. Your world will require maintenance. This is not about pretending that spending money is bad. And honestly, if you've been listening to my podcast for any length of time, you will know that I am not about frugality. I am not about living a boring life filled with deprivation. I am not about slashing expenses. I believe that you can do both. You can build wealth and enjoy life at the same time. Okay. So that's not what this episode is about, but it is about noticing the patterns that are running your financial life. If every time you try to save or you do save, you find a reason to spend it down, I really want you to pay attention to that, because it's a pattern that can be changed. But it's also a pattern that's dangerous because it will keep you stuck. It will keep you feeling like you should be further along, like you're behind, like retirement and being able to one day be work optional and retire comfortably is just nowhere in sight. And as you go through your 30s and 40s and 50s, if you don't catch this now, like wherever you are, it doesn't matter what age you are, if you don't stop it now, it will not go away on its own. And so you have to notice it. Awareness is the first level of change. So you have to notice what's happening in your life. Why aren't you able to accumulate savings like $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 in an emergency fund, or what I call a life happens fund? Why is it that you pay off your debt, but you find yourself right back in it? Why is it that it feels like you're under investing when you look at your retirement accounts? retirement just seems like a fantasy, not like something you can actually reach one day, that is because of this, right? You haven't developed the skill of having money. And so noticing this and becoming aware of it is the first step to being able to change it. And that is what this episode is about today. So when you really think about the skill of having money, it sounds simple, right? Like you have money. It's just a simple concept. But for a lot of women, it is deeply, very, very deeply unfamiliar. Having money means this. You let money come into your life and stay. You let it sit in your purse, in your savings account, in your checking account. You let it be with you. Having money means being able to see money in your account and not immediately convert it into something else. It means letting your money stay long enough so that it can become a fully funded emergency fund, or again, a life happens fund is what I call it, a fully funded vacation, a sense of peace, a feeling of safety and security, and just more, again, financial security. Because money sitting in your account is not wasted money. I know sometimes people think, oh, money sitting in your savings account is wasted. No, don't believe that. Because your financial security, your peace of mind is worth something. And I believe that all of us should have tens of thousands of dollars in a savings account, make it a high yield savings account for sure, so that it puts a cushion between you and life. So that you know that if life happens, right? That's why I call it a life happens fund. You're prepared. You can handle it. You can go with the flow. You can handle anything that comes your way. But when you don't have that, then guess what happens? You have to rely on debt and things like that. So sometimes when you just let money sit in your account, it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Just sit there. But even though, like I said, this is a simple concept, it can feel incredibly hard for a lot of women. Why? Because our brains like familiar, normal things. It wants you to continue to live the same life over and over and over again. And the reason for that is because familiar feels safe. It feels like, okay, if I can predict the future, if I know what I'm dealing with, then I'm safe. So if you're someone who's constantly depleting your accounts or spending almost everything you make, even though you make good money, you're not being reckless or irresponsible or anything like that. But maybe it's just the expenses that are coming through. Maybe it's just your lifestyle. There's so many reasons why this could be, right? It's not just emotional spending and overspending. It could be other things as well. If that is you, if you're used to constantly spending your money down, then your brain is used to that state. So it's used to kind of being on the edge all the time. It's used to constantly trying to figure out, okay, how we're going to make this work, juggling things, figuring out things, doing the math, moving money around. It is used to that. And so when you don't have to do that anymore, it feels scary. It feels abnormal. It feels unfamiliar. And your brain doesn't like that, even though that is better for you. Your brain doesn't know that though. It just wants you to be in the same familiar state that you've always been in. So if your familiar pattern is money comes in and money goes right back out, then money sitting will feel very, very strange. If your familiar pattern is you transfer money to savings, right? And then a couple days later you spend it down or you transfer it back to checkings, then guess what? Having savings feels abnormal. If your familiar pattern is you pay off your credit card debt, every few months or so, once it gets to a certain level, you pay it off, but then eventually you creep it back up again, then debt freedom will feel unfamiliar to you. So that's why you find yourself stuck in that cycle. And here's the tricky thing about this. Your brain doesn't blatantly say, hey, I'm uncomfortable having money, so let's spend this down, or I'm uncomfortable being out of debt, so let's get back into debt. That would be way too obvious. It sounds way more reasonable than that. It sounds like, we've needed this rug forever. You've got the money. Why don't you just get it? You'll put the money back. Or the lawn looks terrible. You need some new shrubs and bushes. This furniture deal, oh my God, you've been needing furniture for a long time and you just got paid a big fat bonus, so you might as well go get it now. Or anything like that. It could even be I deserve it, or I work hard, I should be able to enjoy my money, anything like that, right? And it's tricky because those thoughts are true. You might need a new rug, or your lawn might be the worst in the neighborhood. But that doesn't mean that the money that you've set aside, the money that's in your life needs to go to that thing immediately, right? Just because your brain is telling you something is true, it doesn't mean that you have to do it right now. True does not always mean that that is what the money that you have right now is best used for. So just because something feels true or justifiable or reasonable doesn't mean that you have to listen to it and jump on it and be impulsive with it, right? And so this is part of the skill of having money, letting your brain do all of this negotiating, but still deciding that you're going to pause before you make a decision, that you're going to wait, that you're going to plan, you're not going to be impulsive, you're not just going to jump on every idea that comes your way just because you have the money to do so. So the reason why I can talk about this so easily is because I had to learn the skill of having money. I had to increase my capacity for keeping money in my life. And I work with my clients on this all the time. So first, I'm going to talk a little bit about myself. When I first got out of credit card debt, I thought, and I talked about this on the show before, so you may have heard this story, but either way, I'm going to say it again. When we got out of debt, we sort of followed a little bit of what Dave Ramsey talks about, where he says, only keep $1,000 in savings and then put everything else you can on your debt. Well, we kept a little bit more than $1,000 in savings, but we didn't keep much more than that. So we probably kept a few thousand at a time, right? And so I thought that once we were debt free, that all that additional money we would have in our lives, I would just easily be able to save. But guess what? That wasn't the case. Why not? Because I didn't have the capacity to have money. Even though all those years I was paying off debt, I was still sending money away from me. So money would come into my life and I would immediately send it away to debt payments. So my brain was not used to accumulating any money other than the few $1,000s, right? So that few $1,000s was very familiar to us. So that's where my brain was comfortable. So as soon as I tried to get more than that, like 5,000 or 10,000 or 20,000 or whatever, the brain was like, absolutely not. So every single time I saved, I found a reason to spend it now until I woke up to what was happening. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. We have all this money coming in now that has nowhere to go, but I'm finding some place to send it. I'm finding a project, an upgrade, something to spend it on. So I had to wake up to what was actually happening. And that is the awakening I'm trying to help you make as well. And once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. And that's when I intentionally, slowly, but surely increased my capacity to have money, to keep money in my life, to let it accumulate, to see it growing in my accounts, to open up my online banking accounts and see the money there and getting comfortable, letting my brain get comfortable with actually having money, not just making it, not just spending it, not just sending it away on debt. And so that is why when I work with my clients privately, I do not teach the Dave Ramsey way. We come up with a customized way based on their real life, based on their real needs. And I definitely don't tell you you should only have $1,000. That's not enough, right? And so I believe that you should always be saving, and we work a plan that's, like I said, customized to your real life. Now, I also mentioned that I see this pattern with my clients. It always happens, right? They start getting momentum. They start building up savings. They start seeing their accounts grow. And before you know it, they'll come to a call saying, oh my gosh, Jermaine, I feel bad. I spent some of my savings on something impulsive. It was something I needed though. It was the lawn, it was furniture, it was this for the kids, it was that for my business, whatever it was, right? And I tell them all the time that that's normal because your brain is not used to having money. So it's going to always, always, always try to get you back to that equilibrium, to that ground zero, to that familiar place. And even as they start accumulating savings, I warn them like, hey, We're not trying to be perfect here. This is part of the process. You will make mistakes. You will impulsively spend some of this money, and that's okay. As long as you don't beat yourself up, as long as you don't quit, just bring it to the coaching call and we're going to course correct and we're going to get you back on track, right? And so that is what I will offer you as well. You will make mistakes on your journey to increase your capacity to have money. You will make mistakes. You will still impulse spend, but as long as you don't quit, as long as you don't beat yourself up so bad that you are in shame and despair and embarrassment, you can get back on track and you can get to the finish line. Okay. So the skill of having money is a skill, just like any skill, like the skill of driving. It takes practice. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't just go to one class and you now are an expert driver. No, the skill of having money is very similar. You have to keep going. You have to keep trying. And like I said earlier, once you learn this skill, then the other areas of money, like I call them the 5 core areas of money: income, saving, spending, debt, and investing, will all fall into place because you have learned this skill. And this is why inside private money coaching with me, we look at all 5 core areas of your money: your income, again, spending, saving, debt, and investing, because they all work together. They are all connected, and this is how. So let's think about your income. If your income rises, but overspending is never addressed, then you don't feel like you're making more. And if your savings never gets a chance to accumulate because you didn't learn the skill of having money, then you always are relying on credit cards for unexpected expenses. And of course, that's going to keep you in credit card debt. And if debt keeps coming back over and over again, then your investing keeps getting delayed, right? And you feel like you're behind and your retirement is underfunded. So do you see how all of them affect each other? Right? The skill of having money is not just about your savings account. It is about your entire financial life. So the shift is not, how do I never spend money? Again, I am not that person. I like spending money. Spending money is fun, but only if it's done intentionally and not impulsively. Only if it's done in a way that doesn't cause you financial consequences to deal with on the back end. So again, the question is not, how do I stop spending money? That's not the question. The better question is, how do I become a woman who can have money without immediately needing to get rid of it? How can I expand my capacity to have money, not just make it and spend it? How do I become a woman who can earn money, save money, pay off debt and stay out of debt, invest money, enjoy life, and still have fun? That, my friend, is a skill, and that is the work. So with that, one of the beliefs I want you to start practicing this week is that money sitting in your account is useful, that having money is useful. Play with the idea that having money is more fun than spending money. Like, that just really felt good to me. Having money is more enjoyable than spending it. Because a lot of people only feel like money is useful or enjoyable when it's doing something else, when it's buying something, fixing something, solving something, upgrading something, helping someone, or paying something off. But money sitting can be doing something very, very important. It can be creating calm, safety, breathing room, options, the ability not to panic. It could be giving you future freedom and putting a cushion between you and life. Money sitting in an account is not doing nothing. It may be just doing the most important thing that you need right now. It may be giving you peace of mind. It may be giving you financial security, and it may be giving you the breathing room that you're really craving. So if you take nothing from this episode, take this. Making money is one skill. Spending money well is another skill, but learning how to actually have money may be the skill that changes everything for you. And even though this episode is not about spending, I do want to reiterate this. The goal is not to never spend. The goal is to become the kind of woman who can have money without needing to immediately get rid of it. So if you're listening to this and realizing this is exactly what's happening to you, right? You might be thinking, I make good money. I'm making more than I ever have. And yet it just doesn't feel like it. I want you to know this is the kind of work I do with my private coaching clients. We look at what's actually happening with your money, where it's going, what patterns are keeping you stuck, how to build a system and structure that helps you keep more of what you make without depriving yourself, without going on a strict budget, and without giving up the life you love. So if you already know that you want support changing this, all you have to do is book a private consultation with me using the link in the show notes, or simply go to jermainefoley.com/consult. That's Jermaine with a G, foley.com/consult. On that call, it will be no pressure, no shame, no embarrassment. You don't even have to tell me your numbers. I understand that many of you may feel shame, embarrassment, feeling like, I don't know if I want to share this with anybody. I don't know if I really want anybody to know what's going on. But I'm going to tell you this. There's nothing that you can say to me or share with me on this private consultation that will make me judge you. I promise. I was the worst with money. There's nothing that you can tell me that I probably haven't done already. I've done it all. I've made all the money mistakes. And yet I'm standing on the other side of it because I made a decision to change my life. And I would love, love, love to help you once you've made that decision to change your life. I would love to be your money coach to help you make that decision stick. So again, you can go to jermainefoley.com/consult or simply visit the show notes. All right, I will see you next week. Bye-bye. Hey, if money is the one area of life you just can't seem to figure out, even though you make good money, you're not alone. That's why you're invited to book a complimentary one-to-one money consultation with me so that we can figure out how to solve your biggest money challenges. To sign up, simply go to jermainefoley.com/consult or check out the show notes. Hope to meet you soon.